the murdered guardsmen and the Mockingbird media. So the Mockingbird media has a role in all of this, and their role, of course, is to back the regime at any and all costs. So it involves people you've heard many, many times, people like Ken Delanian, and people you've not heard of like Major General Randy Manor. And their job is to respond to a set put from the seditious six and people like J.B. Pritzker pretending to be concerned that the National Guard's there to seize control of the elections, and all it's a pretense. So the Mockingbird media has their role to play. And look, media is super powerful, really, really powerful. My wife and I this weekend watched a movie. It's a quick one. It's about an hour and a half, and it's called Thank You, Dr. Fauci. I was so impressed by this, because it really is a movie about making the movie. The way the director, Jenna First, decided to go through this was we watched them uncover things as they were just investigating. And he makes a point. At one point, Dr. Fauci's lawyer sent him a note. Just so you know. Hey, FYI, stop getting in touch with my guy. He's not going to talk to you. A note from one of the most powerful Washington, D.C. lawyers ever. The reason that was happening is because they went beyond the origin of the COVID flu, which they believe was lab-made. By the way, heads up, it was. And because they believe that people like Ralph Barrick and Peter Daszak are actually double agents. According to the film, as I read it, they were playing China against us and us against China and getting paid from both sides. Fauci knew all this, it seems. And they go back to Fauci's first fraud, AIDS, and the AZT drug. That was his first fraud, but they do something more. Would you believe there's a polio tie-in to this? There's actually a polio tie-in to the COVID flu and the injections. And yes, they talk about the shots. Their conclusion is that Fauci should be at least in prison. And you won't believe some of the exclusive interviews you've never seen before. You can go stream this right now. It's called Thank You, Dr. Fauci. Go to angel.com/Todd. This is a must watch. Angel.com/Herman, by the way. Angel.com/Herman. It's a must watch. And when you join the Angel Guild, you don't just watch. You get to empower movies like this to continue to be made. Movies that demand accountability. Angel.com/Herman. So the Mockingbird media and the murdered guardsmen. This is MS Now. Formerly MSNBC, but they ruined that brand, so they can't use it anymore. And in this is Ken Delanian's. He is on MS Now. This is just after 3 p.m. on the shooting of 2 National Guard troops in Washington, D.C.
But of course, there's so much controversy happening in the United States right now with ICE, who are also wearing uniforms and wearing masks. And so you don't know, people walking around with uniforms in an American city. There are some Americans that might object to that.
There's some Americans that might object to that. The guy who did the shooting, that we're told, was an Afghan national, as you know. Brought into the country in the wash of refugees, or people that the people who ran Joe Biden called refugees. Barely any screening. And yeah, he used to work with our military, and he used to help our military. Crazy thing that's being reported about him, but not by the Mockingbird media necessarily. You know where he appeared to have been radicalized? The Seattle area. Gosh, who else was radicalized there? Oh, one of the ICE shooters. The young man who went and shot ICE agents, Customs Border Patrol agents in Texas, and ended up shooting immigrants, illegal immigrants as well. Remember that? Detainees. He was radicalized there. Hey, you know who else was? Do you remember the D.C. sniper cases where one of the guys hid into the trunk of a car and was secreting himself there, taking up people at gas stations? Guess where he was radicalized? Seattle. How could this happen? Because in Western Washington, there are families who are providing multi-million-dollar homes for these folks to stay in for a bit. And I'm talking $5 million, $6 million, $7 million homes for a while. They're brought in, and they're then given a home that they can stay in. This guy had fallen off the map. He wasn't meeting with his contacts anymore in the feds. He wasn't learning English, refusing to just integrate. And why would he? Because in the separate country of Washington, they're told they don't have to do that. You shouldn't integrate. You should be a proud resistor of this regime. He was radicalized there, but the Mockingbird media, they don't want to talk about that. They wanted to talk like this during the actual attack. This is Nicole Wallace and Al Sharpton. Watch this.
This idea that they're all on the same side, right? I mean, people that follow a chain of command, and at any level in government, you are reporting to someone above you. to your point, it's the men and women of the military are following orders. I mean, that is the chain of command.
They're following orders. This was not a vote that they all voted and said the majority of us vote, therefore we have to go. They're following orders. And I also I'd show the concern that if this has been an ambush, we don't know where this is going. You've got guardsmen out there that's got to wonder, is there something that's going to follow this up? We don't know what we're talking about yet. Mm-hmm. Was this a sole gunman that ambushed somebody? Is there a plan? You don't know. That's why I think we ought to be focused. We ought to deal with the fact that these men or women, we don't know the gender, should not be in any way harmed as they were. Whether we agree with the deployment or not, I don't. And I think the president ought to focus on that on Thanksgiving Eve, as other guardsmen have to be concerned about their own safety, right, as well as their fellow guardsmen that are in a hospital fighting for their lives.
So the whole point of they don't vote on this, right? They're deployed. See, this ties right back into the messaging of they shouldn't have to do this. They shouldn't be forced. They didn't get a vote. They never get a vote. This is the military. And I appreciate Al Sharpton saying that they shouldn't be harmed. I appreciate that lip service. But at the same time, the network starts with, well, some Americans may have objection to this. Yes. But I'm not familiar with the case where we go out and say when two of our troops have been shot, one of them went on to die, where we say, yeah, well, this is very upsetting. We have troops in the American cities because it's a natural response to what the people who ran Joe Biden caused here. And the only way to correct the mass illegal immigration is a mass legal deportation. And the left is doing everything they can to stop this, including blocking the doors to Customs Border Patrol officials' facilities, to ICE offices. In Portland, this mysterious turning off of their power, people ramming their cars, shooting at them. You have school districts secreting students away. They hear there's an ICE raid coming up, and suddenly 30% of a school district's kids are staying home. And we have email chains where the teachers and staff are saying, we'll keep you safe and hidden. You have the United States Postal Service that's now asking for a waiver because they have too many illegal immigrant drivers to sustain their business without it. Are mail being moved by illegal immigrant drivers? Mockingbird Media has a role to play. And the role to play is to bring on sometimes people like Major General Randy Manner. This was a couple weeks prior to the shooting of the National Guard. And listen to this retired Major General.
Actually, what the president is doing through the Secretary of Defense is creating units, official military units, to quite frankly, watch the American people. And that's the thing that is absolutely abhorrent. It reminds me so much of what happened in Germany in the 1930s.
That's interesting. Wow. I hadn't thought of that. He's the former acting vice chief of the National Guard Bureau. They're to watch us? We're a nation of 330 million people and 1,000 troops are watching us, or 5,000. We are a nation where Facebook and YouTube and social media in general provides one way or another your data to the federal government, to law enforcement. Amazon does the same thing, Ring doorbell cameras. They sell it to private companies, so it's laundered. The government turns around and buys it. They monitor every single financial interaction you have. They are pushing biometric identity. You have digital IDs now launched in Illinois and in Utah, and they're pushing it through other states. And it's the National Guard that's watching us, and this is what reminds him of Nazi Germany. What did Nazi Germany actually do? They othered people. They put targets on people. They described them as the people ruining our country, the irredeemable. Now, you can make the argument, go ahead, that the right is doing this with immigrants, that we're scapegoating immigrants that way. And I'm sure there are people doing that. I'm sure there's people saying, you know what, all the Mexicans, vile racism. You know what else is an ism? Is that any attempt to enforce our laws is also Nazism. This is one of the ways in which the Mockingbird media has played along with all of this.